Welcome to the 22-23 Heart of America Athletic Conference Wrestling Media Days. Cody Goodwin here now with Missouri Valley head coach Kevin Corbett and athlete Haley Holland. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Excited that wrestling season is back finally and again. Let's start here with you, Coach. What do you like about your team coming into this season?
Yeah, I'm excited. We have some girls that have credentials. Obviously my younger sister wrestles for me. She won a national title at our previous school, Lyon College, last year. Hoping for her to repeat that. I have Haley here. She's, been hard at work to really improve her wrestling skills, and I have high hopes for her. And then, we have a couple other transfers that followed me that I'm excited about, like Ashley Wetzel. She should do really well this year. And then, we obviously have some studs that were already on the team. Danielle Salvador, she was a two-time All-American, missed her third All-American last year in the blood round, hoping to kind of fix some things with her and, help her improve. And she's got Kaylani as a partner now, and Kaylani has her as a partner. So I'm seeing that as a dynamic duo that's really going to kind of lift each other up. So.
Absolutely. I know coaches, especially wrestling coaches, maybe cautiously optimistic, never want to get too high or too low when it comes to, watching their athletes compete through the preseason and the early part of the regular season. Now that you guys have a competition under your belt, what'd you kind of learn about the way that your team competed last week?
Yeah, I think that they got some fight in them. I was pleasantly surprised with how they competed at the Falcon Invite. The Falcon Invite is probably one of the bigger tournaments throughout the year, I would say. Obviously, we host the biggest tournament coming up here, and not this weekend, but the following. And so to see them go out there and fight and scrap and do really well, that was something that you can't really teach, right? You can't really teach them how to go out there and be willing to fight off their back, or go in there and wait, fight to the last second and score even if they're down. You can encourage those things, but you can't really teach those things, right? I saw a lot of grit with them, and I was impressed with it. So, with that, like, I think, the teaching the wrestling thing is easy, right? Like teaching them how to wrestle, we do reps and stuff like that. We can figure that stuff out, but it's, having that fight and that grit that's really important, and, sometimes hard for people to have. And, to see most of them, perform and have that fight in them, like I was impressed. I was happy about it. So.
Absolutely. Wanted to ask you both about, pretty important development when it comes to NAIA women's wrestling, officially a championship, recognized status now within the NAIA women's wrestling. Either one of you guys or both of you guys can answer this one. How big is that for the continued growth of girls and women's wrestling, not just, around the country at all levels, but, specifically in the college ranks, to have a division that is committed to women's wrestling and recognizing, the champs that come with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's that validation that these young ladies look for, right? So, for a while we had the WCWA championships, and like even before that, there was like just them entering the US Open and things like that. So it's just that validation that, someone wants to invest in them, right? So, and that's someone being the NAIA right now, right? They're investing in women's wrestling. And, just showing these young ladies that their sport is important and that like there's value in it and stuff like that. So.
Absolutely. Haley, how cool has it been, as an athlete to kind of be right there on the ground, really, for not just, the NAIA recognizing championship status for women's wrestling collegiately, but also, I mean, you're from California. They've been kind of front and center there for, the high school girls wrestling, and just to see the explosive growth of the sport really at all levels. What's that been like from your perspective?
Well, women's wrestling actually is pretty popular in California. So it was kind of a shock coming to the Midwest area and seeing how little of girls wrestling there is in high school. But it's been really cool to see the growth of it. I mean, I'm very hopeful that it will continue to grow, and I mean, it's great. It's great to see that recognition, because coming from California, I had that, and now in women's wrestling, like we're really on the up. So it's great.
Yeah.
And how many schools have women's wrestling in the NAIA? Like I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. How How important is it to the continued growth, to where we go from here, right, as wrestling fans, now that, there is a recognized championship status at the collegiate level? I know, D1 and the NCAA is still trying to figure out some things, but, for the NAI to make that jump, how important is that for, the sport to continue to grow?
Yeah, I think that, it's important because, there are people who are followers in the world, right? So like, they're not always going to be the trailblazers, and obviously we were one of those trailblazers. We established our program in 1999. So, sometimes people need that little bit of push to give them the confidence to add it, right? So now that it's a championship status, like, they're not worried about it failing or falling out. And then they're like, oh, well, we wasted our money to add all this program and build these facilities and hire this coach whenever women's wrestling was, doomed to fail. Now they have that confidence of like, oh, okay, now it's growing. Now it's a championship status. Now we have that confidence to know that we can also add and reap the benefits of adding a women's wrestling program. So, that's why I think that the championship status, is important. It'll give those institutions that kind of been on the fence about it, thinking about it, they'll pull the trigger a little bit quicker now, and hopefully see that, see more teams add, so more colleges add.
Yeah. Well, and how cool is it, from your perspective, being in the big chair at Missouri Valley that really kicked off the whole women's college wrestling, snowball, and then to be there in a season when the NAI says, yes, like this is an official thing now, let's keep going.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting, I love my time that I spent at Lyon, but I didn't have the same type of support there that I have here. The athletic director, he's our, longtime men's wrestling coach. He was the guy who pushed to have women's wrestling established and, have a program at Missouri Valley. So to have his support, like to be able to go in his office and him know what I'm talking about, what I need, like that's something that like is hard to find and come across. Right. So I'm super excited to be able to have that support. Our men's program, their coaching staff, they're super supportive of us. We're super supportive of them. Wrestling at Missouri Valley, it's kind of, that's, I think it's a wrestling school, so it's exciting to be somewhere where I know that like, we're going to get the support that I didn't necessarily get at my last college. Not that they weren't supportive or anything like that, but, people just, I feel like understand a little bit more here. So yeah, it's exciting though.
Absolutely. Last question for both. Either of you can answer. Already got one competition under your belt. Got another one coming up this weekend. Then got obviously your guys' tournament later in the year. What do you guys want to see from your team, from your wrestlers? It's a long season. What do you want to see from them or hope to see from them, in terms of growth and evolution as the season continues to progress?
Yeah. You want to answer? You talked a little bit.
I mean, we first tournament under the belt, kind of shake the rust off, and I think this week at practice, we're gonna be going really hard and looking over the things that we need to work on, that we now know that we need to work on from the last tournament, and I'm really excited to see that improvement in the next two tournaments, and I think we're gonna see a tremendous improvement in the next two tournaments. We had a lot of freshmen compete at this last tournament as well, and they did great, I think, and I'm really excited to see them just tweak a few things and notice those improvements at the next two tournaments.
Yeah, and for me, I'm excited to see, our young ladies just kind of grow into the sport of freestyle. Obviously there's that little bit of disconnect between folk style in high school and then freestyle in college. Every year I have several freshmen that are like, Coach, I never wrestled freestyle. I don't know what we're supposed to do. What are we supposed to do? And, we'll have a whole day where we sit down and do like a rules clinic and talk about like strategically wrestling and freestyle versus folk style and just like the differences and, how you can use like your folk style wrestling to your advantage and how, it differs from freestyle sometimes. So just to see them like gradually be able to recognize those things. Cause we can do simulation matches as much as we want, in practice, but it's never going to be the same as going out there and competing. Right. So just kind of get those competitions under their belt so that they learn a little bit easier when we come back. Right. For the whole first semester doing the preseason stuff, like you try to explain it to them and they're kind of like, okay, I kind of get what you're saying. And they try to relate it to like those folk style experiences, but it's a lot different when they go out and wrestle a college match, wrestle some freestyle, and just kind of have that atmosphere, so that now when I go to try and tell them something, like, oh no, yeah, I definitely recognize that. So I'm excited to see them utilize that, their experiences, like having tournaments and stuff like that, so that we can see that, exponential growth between now and conference in February. Right. So, what happens between now and conference, like, yeah, we have ratings based like qualifiers, stuff like that. That's important. But at the end of the day, I just want to see them have that growth and then go and, do their best at conference. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, I think that was all the questions I had for you, unless there was anything else you wanted to add before we signed off here.
I don't think I have anything else.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys making the time today. Best of luck later this weekend and throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.